What's up, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of Big Men on Basketball. Today is Thursday, February 9th, 2023. I'm your host, Jeff Nadu, and we are here live on the Barstool Sportsbook YouTube channel every day, Monday through Friday. Another day, another dollar, and a bounce back is needed for me. I got crushed last night. We'll talk about that and tonight's card as well. And it's our special Thursday guest, Jim Root, three-man weave. You can find him on Twitter at Second Chance Points. Jim, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm good. It's good to be here. I think are you and I the only people in the world not in Phoenix this week? It seems like everybody has made their way down there. It's ridiculous. But we're just grinding. Those people are enjoying the sun, having drinks on a weekday. We're grinding college hoops winners.
That's all I do. I'm grinding. I'm sitting here talking about North Alabama and SELA and, San Francisco. That's just what we do here. It's the middle of the winter. It's basketball season. That said, Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs kick off Sunday. I'll talk about final plays tomorrow. But, Jim, last night, I want to talk about my night, the first of which was UCF. I had no problem fading them. Couldn't miss last night. Nothing you could do there. They finally win without Michael Durr. So, it is what it is. I have no problem backing a home team there. It just is what it is. I will say, I don't know how to figure out Alabama. I mean, if anybody can, it just seems like any time I feel like they're going to, have a low-scoring game where maybe it's like a 72-60 type of game. They, of course, erupt for, 94. Florida just did nothing right. And then I had San Diego State over, which looked great in the first half, and then they just stopped scoring. They only scored 19 points in the second half, and I lost. So it was a rough night. How did you do?
I got lucky. I had an over in the Samford Mercer game, and it went to overtime. It went over by a point in OT. So I've lost plenty of unders to overtime this year, and that just kind of goes to show you that it goes in cycles. A lot of the luck stuff hopefully evens out over the long haul, and if you get even on luck through a whole season, then hopefully all the handicapping gets you over the top and actually gets you some winnings.
Yeah, I feel like looking back, some of the leans I had ended up coming in, of course. Houston first half. I thought that Iowa State under was a little low. That one found its way over. But, can't cry over spilled milk. It is what it is. But, hey, yeah, you have to get lucky too. And I've been lucky my fair share. I've had a really good conference season all in all. So I'm not real worried about it. It is what it is. Let's say hello to a couple of people. Good to see you all in here today. As always, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. And make sure you go check out the great Jim Root, who kills it on Twitter. Him and the three-man weave continue to fire away at the card. By the way, quite the game up today in Brooklyn between St. Francis and Wagner.
Yeah.
This one's going to overtime. At one point, Wagner was getting waxed. I think it was 33-22 at like 16 minutes to go. They are all tied up. And I know one of your cohorts, I believe, is on Wagner today. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how that one shakes out.
Yep, he added Wagner during the show. I almost added the under, and so I would have lost that under to overtime again today. And that's just, man, it's up and down. It is up and down the sport.
I'll tell you, man, there are two things you do not want to see, okay? And that is when you have a dog go to overtime, because it always loses, and B, clearly when you have an under, you don't want to see it go to overtime. Now, there are some of those games where games are just like so low scoring, they go to 3 overtimes and it wouldn't matter. But, a couple things you don't want to see. That said, Jim, let's say we jump into the card today. Zach, we don't need your explanations after yesterday. There was no misunderstanding. We're not going to get into that again, Zach. Let's just kind of let bygones be bygones. You don't agree that you believe that games are 50-50 and that to let you know, Jim, what this guy's talking about, he came in here yesterday and said that. So I mentioned that I liked Wichita at -2.5, but I really liked them at Pick'em or like +1 or -1 where they opened. This individual was saying that why does it matter? It's essentially the same number. And we were kind of explaining how important 2.5 to Pick'em is. Like that's a lot of like a point. Yeah. 2.5 points is a huge margin in basketball.
Like every game is a bell curve of outcomes. And if you move it a point along, we're hoping to identify where the bell curve is off from the line. But if the line moves, it moves along that bell curve and it changes the value. And especially when you're betting high volume, like that can really catch up to you. But man, a point and a half matters on moving lines. Huge for sure.
Also remember, like, let's say you have -2.5 and a team's up 5 or 6. Like, that's great and all, but you still got backdoor bullshit that can happen. Like, there's so much that goes into that, man. I don't want to rehash this again, Zach. Just, it is what it is. I don't think we agree. That said, we'll move on here. All right, let's start first with really, I think probably, on the surface, this is one of those big games of the night, right? You have one of the best teams in the country against Iowa. Purdue laying 8 here, total 149.5. Some books 8.5. When we look at Purdue, Jim, coming off a loss, I had Indiana over the weekend. Thought it was a great spot for the Hoosiers. Now Purdue comes back home. They got, a game off a loss here. And remember, last season in the Big Ten tournament, Iowa knocked out Purdue. Okay, so a little revenge here probably for them. I looked at this and thought, this seems like a great spot for the Boilers. There is not much of a front court. If you look at Iowa, not really running the back Phillip or Braca and people like that. Purdue, again, generally dominates inside in every game because they have a kid that's gigantic and no one can defend. I also like the guard play. I've continued to be impressed by Smith and Lawyer. I don't love Purdue defensively, but I think they'll do enough in this game to just kind of have enough of a lead. They're one of the best rebounding teams in America. And, for as good as Iowa's been in the past offensively, I still don't necessarily love them this year on offense. I think occasionally they kind of bog down, and defensively they're bad per usual. So this kind of screamed, 75-62 to me or something, or 78-68 or something. I like Purdue here.
Yeah, I really like the spot for them, just given the off the loss, and Iowa has not been quite the same on the road despite the win at Rutgers. I mean, that was kind of an eye-opening performance. I'll pitch you on Purdue first half here. I think that's a good look. I saw somebody in the chat mentioned it, but last year Purdue was up 13 and 15 at halftime of the 2 games against Iowa, and they won by 7 and 10. So Iowa kind of got back in. They pressed them a little bit. I remember early in the year that was like, oh, Iowa has some defensive presence with Tony Perkins and Aaron Eulis and stuff. So I kind of like that first half angle where you're kind of capitalizing on the emotion of coming off a loss, being back home at Mackey. You get a little shorter number, probably 4.5. I'm in for that. I think laying 4.5 in the first half is a pretty solid move here.
Keep in mind as well, you look at Purdue, I found this interesting. In the first half this year defensively, they have been really good at home. You look at, they're giving up only 26 points a game at home in the first half this season. You look at also one of the issues, generally you get up big and you kind of fall asleep. But, that's something that last year they seemed to do in both these games, as you kind of alluded to. I like both. I think, in essence, when you look at Purdue, I can't remember where they are in the second half this season. I want to say they're decent, but I don't know. There's just something about Iowa, and they never really sit well with me in general. I don't think they're really well coached, as I've talked about before. And, I look at kind of Purdue's ability at the free throw line occasionally to just kind of extend games. And I just had this as kind of a double-digit win. I think it's a pretty good number here. If this was 10.5, 11, maybe I'm not as interested. But, yeah, I think first half, full game, really however you want to play it. I do know in the first half, though, Purdue this year is not they're not elite, right? They're not like a top 25 first half team offensively or anything. But you're probably laying 4 here, 4.5 in the first half. Probably seems okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Johnny Kicknuts, what's up? How are you? Good to see you guys in here today. David Healy, appreciate it. Thanks for watching, guys. Go follow Jim on Twitter at Second Chance Points. You can find it right there in his little name there. Let's get to the next one. I'm going to go with off the beaten path. Okay, one of the things, Jim, that I have not had success with this year is road teams. And you never do in conference play. It is hard to win on the road in college basketball. And, that's something where you have to be really careful. One of the games last night I bet on, I'm trusting on road teams to do things. And it's not something that works. That said, I think when we look at the Southland, right, this is the best team in the Southland to me, Sela. This is a really good team, right? They've got good guard play. Boogie Anderson's back healthy. They can really shoot the rock. They don't turn it over. They have a deep bench. They're decently experienced for this team. You look at really since the end of December, they've only lost twice. They're coming off a loss here. They're playing a McNeese State team that is a disaster. This team sucks. They haven't won since January 5th. They've gotten destroyed defensively. They have the worst three-point defense in America, dead last. I think Sela goes on the road here and gets the job done. I think this is a little gem. I think this line's a little too low.
Yeah, I like to spot off the loss again. I thought you were going to go back to the Sela over well because I
thought about it, but I don't trust McNeese to score enough points.
Yep, and McNeese has made some sort of half-hearted efforts to slow games down, which is like a weird thing in the Southland. So that's a tougher curveball. But yeah, they're just totally lacking in talent this year, unfortunately. They've got one good big guy, Shoemate, who I think is really solid, and then beyond that, it's kind of a hodgepodge. And you identified Sela a lot earlier than I did. I thought they was kind of middle of the pack Southland team, but they've been rolling, and especially off a loss, I think you get a pretty locked in team against an inferior opponent. So we like that motivated favorites where, like, if you're off a loss or you lost to that team 2 weeks ago or something, I like a motivated favorite.
And Sela, keep in mind, beat McNeese in both games last year, eclipsed 80 points in both of them. And I think that was a better McNeese team. I actually watched, Jim, I don't know if you ever do this, but there'll be times where, like, I have games where I just don't want to watch them. And I think one of the ways that I've come to know a lot about these teams is there will be nights where I'll just sit here and go on watch ESPN and I'll just watch a random game. Like, I just pick it. And for whatever reason, the other week I watched McNeese State play Incarnate Word. It was like the weirdest game. And this McNeese team sucks. I mean, they are just not good. I think Sela's in a good spot tonight. Kind of a gemmy type of team. 8-3 in this conference. Really kind of got to keep it going here. You don't want to drop these kind of games, and you don't want to lose 2 straight. So
that's a real addict statement. You turned on McNeese State Incarnate Word. How dare
it was just
you?
one of those, like, I think it was a Thursday night. I go on to watch ESPN, and I'm like, I really don't want to sit here and grind out one of these really good games. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just close my eyes, and wherever my mouse lands, that's where I'm gonna watch. Yeah. And I watched this as the ball's being tipped, and I'm just sitting there in San Antonio Incarnate Word is.
Yep.
It was ugly, man. McNeese stinks.
I think you learn a lot more doing that. When I watch a game I've bet on, I start hating the team I bet on because they're just like angering me. If I'm watching a game I have no wager on, I actually take something away from it. So I like
right. And I think, like, once you get to March, like, you don't have time to sit here and catch up and watch these teams. So I think a lot of the work you do is either preseason or early in the season or even during it. And I'm not going to sit here and waste my time watching shit that doesn't benefit me. So I'm going to do something that helps. So that's that. So I like Sela. I don't mind laying 2. I hate road teams, but I don't think they lose 2 in a row. And these aren't too far apart from each other, are they?
No, yeah. McNeese is in Lake Charles. I've been there. Heck of a place.
Yeah, and then Sela's in Hammond, which isn't too far either, I think. So,
yep.
So you've been to Lake Charles? Why?
Yeah, I was when I worked for EY auditing, public accounting. I went down there and worked on a casino for a week in Lake Charles. Really, really great time down there.
I never knew that. So you used to work in accounting, really?
Yep. Big old nerd over here. Love my Excel spreadsheets.
Doesn't your counterpart work in that business too?
Yeah, Kai and I were actually coworkers at EY for a while. And now we have ventured into the world of basketball content.
So you were in auditing. So you were a glorified snitch in a way, weren't you?
Yeah. Oh, people hated me. They did not want to talk to me.
I think some of the worst people on the planet are like forensic accountants. They're just awful people that are trying to screw everybody.
Hand up. That was me.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have taken you as that. But either way, interesting world, right? I mean, I see that a lot in the crime world. You know, most people that commit crime, I mean, then they get brought down because they don't do the right things from a money standpoint. So pay your taxes. Ask Al Capone about that. And it isn't necessarily paying them. It's filing, Jim. I found filing is what's illegal. You have to file tax returns. That's important. Okay. There you go. Let's go to this one. Might be the best game of the card tonight, possibly. North Texas and Alabama Birmingham. North Texas laying 2.5. Total is 128.5. And let me ask you something, Jim. Do you ever get that feeling in your head where you say to yourself, you look at a matchup and you say, you know what? I just think that team's going to win.
Oh, yeah. Now I'm curious who you got it about in this one, though.
I'm going to tell you. First game was a slog fest, rock fight. In fact, most of these games recently have been rock fights. North Texas has won the tempo battle, which they normally do. First game was played in the 50s. However, there was one big thing that they didn't have that UAB is going to have tonight, and it's Jelly Walker. He's back. Now, he hasn't played great in the first 2 games back, and I know this because I waited for him to play well in that game. What was it against? Who did UAB play?
He came back. Was it the Florida Atlantic game?
Yeah. So he came back, and I expected him to play well, and I thought that would be how I'd win the Florida Atlantic game because I had UAB in that game. He didn't play well, and he still rolled, so it worked out. But I feel like this is the type of game where Jelly Walker just kind of springs back. It's a big game for this group. This is a close conference. We all know that UAB's kind of fell off just because he was out, but there's still time in this season. This is a huge game for Birmingham. I really like them when he's back. They're a much more complete team. We know North Texas is tough. One of the issues they have occasionally is they have trouble scoring. This is a better defense for UAB, I think, than maybe we want to give them credit for. I was surprised to learn they're actually a pretty good defense given on the circumstance. And we didn't quite see that, I think, early in the year. I think UAB wins this game. I think they split in this series. I'm going to take 2.5.
All right. I kind of buy it. They've won 4 straight. UAB has since they suspended, I believe it was Javian Davis and one of the Brewer brothers. I think maybe there was just some strange chemistry off the court stuff going on there, and they got it straightened out, and now they're rolling. That also coincides with Jelly getting back. I actually liked North Texas in this one, so we're head to head a little bit. I like North Texas in games where they control the tempo, and they typically do against UAB. But looking back at the history, UAB swept them in 2021, beat them 2 straight times, and they split last year. So it's not like North Texas has owned it despite slowing the games down. We'll see. Maybe I'm wishful thinking there, especially with Jelly back. Like, he really does change the equation.
Yeah, he really does. And, you look at North Texas, have shot the ball really well this year, but, again, I don't think UAB shoots 1 for 10 from the 3-point line this time. You're going to have Jelly Walker back. It's one of those series to me where I think both these teams are good. I think they split. I saw something interesting as well in this series, and I could be off on here, but I want to say Majeski tweeted out that the road team has actually won 9 straight matchups in this series.
All right, I'll take a peek.
Kind of interesting. So we'll go for 10s a crowd here, hopefully, and we get the 10th. But yeah, I'll take 2.5. I hope this game's close. Give me the Jelly Walker train. Maybe he'll play well here and they'll get the job done. All right, next one. Listen, I'm going to let it fly tonight, folks. I just am. I like this card. I think there's some good spots. And I think sometimes you got to do what you got to do. What am I missing here? Cal is – you and I talked before the show. Cal is really, really bad, to the point of, like, you kind of notice what they're doing. They have one of the slowest tempos in America, and their goal is to essentially just hold the ball as long as possible to avoid losing every game by 30.
Yep. Cal's glad Louisville exists because otherwise people will be pointing and laughing at them.
Right. I think last night, really kind of getting involved with multiple levels of Houston. We see Arizona generally, Jim, in the non-conference crush these types of teams. They kind of blow them out. We haven't seen Arizona really kind of, I guess from start to finish, really outside of their last game, blow a team out from start to finish. But then you look deeper, and this team's been rolling lately, generally all season in this conference outside of UCLA. You mentioned to me, you don't even have Devin ask you if you're Cal. I'm not really sure why he went to Cal to begin with. Yeah. I guess he just assumed that I'll go to a bad team and be the guy, but he hasn't played. Cal's bad. I'm going to just hope that Arizona is fully engaged and rolls here, because I think if they do, I think they'll be just fine. You don't really have much of a look-ahead game here.
Yeah, give me Arizona. About Stanford. Yeah, like you said, they're playing really well. They're 5-1 against the spread their last 6, and the one they didn't cover was Washington State by a half point. And remember how that game ended? Missed dunk and a 3. Like, they should have been 6-0 against the spread their last 6. That's how well they're playing. They're trending up. They're in line for a possible 1 seed if they keep winning. Mm-hmm. I think they're all in to blow out a really, really inferior team.
Keep in mind, average scoring margin for Arizona this year is about 13 points a game. In their last 3, they're winning games on average by 23. I know that the games kind of get closer once we get to conference play, so that number scoring margin-wise is down a bit, but this is like you're playing a non-conference team again. So, I just don't see where the points come from if you're Cal. And I think Arizona kind of cruises here. Also, I found it interesting to find out that Cal's actually pretty big, which you wouldn't be surprised by. But I think all in all, they have very little working for them here. This seems to me like an 88-60 type of game or something.
Yeah, you want to know the scores of last year's games?
Yes.
96-71 Arizona and 89-60 Arizona. And that was a much better Cal team. So
right. They had they didn't have Matt Bradley back then. They had
they had Andre Kelly, who's at UC Santa Barbara right now. Right. They were just at least a little bit more confident.
Oh yeah, they won 12 games last year. They were like, not that far off from 500. And they also won. How did they win 5 games in conference last year? My God. I'm laying it here. Whatever. I'm gonna hope this is like Oral Roberts in conference. Oral Roberts just kills everybody.
Yep.
Do you agree with this?
I don't, but I don't think it's insane. I like Houston and Alabama more, but Arizona's certainly right up there in the conversation.
Yeah, I'm not ready to admit it, but I feel like maybe they're right there. By the way, Wagner's lost 64-62.
We got to rub it in Matt's face.
In overtime. Not going to make a lot of money betting on road Wagner, regardless of even if it's just a trip over the bridge. One more game here, and then we'll do a few questions and get out of here. Did this number seem a bit high to you?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the first game was what, a 3-point game? I mean, look, we know San Francisco is not as strong as they were in years past because they lost Todd Golden, but they still have talent on this team. I mean, Shabazz is still there. They have Zane Meeks. They still have the big kid in the middle. This is still a good basketball team. I mean, Gonzaga doesn't make free throws. Okay, they leave points at the line. They're not great defensively. They've seemingly play close games every game. I think we're still trying to list Gonzaga like they're the teams of year or two ago, and they're not. This is not a team that's going to just romp in this conference.
Yep.
And San Francisco is a team that is still pretty good. I didn't ultimately get there with this one, but something tells me this is too high. And San Francisco does some things well to stay in games.
Yeah, they usually have a pretty good game plan against Gonzaga. They have not covered every time they play them, but the coach now, Gerlofson, is a Golden guy who's on his staff, so he's very familiar with the approach there. And you could look at the spot in one of two ways with Gonzaga. Okay, they just lost at St. Mary's, they're angry. Or you could say it's a pretty big sandwich between St. Mary's and BYU. And they could probably look past the team that's home when they're a 15-point favorite. So I haven't really gotten on board with laying it much with Gonzaga in league play. I know they beat Santa Clara by 18. They blew out Portland earlier in the year, but I don't know, man. This team just doesn't have the same kind of verve that recent Gonzaga teams have had.
Here's a devil's advocate, though, on playing San Francisco here. You're getting a Gonzaga team that is pissed off, first of all. And you're getting a San Francisco team, when you really kind of look a little deeper, anytime they've stepped up, they got blown out, I believe, in both games against St. Mary's. You look at San Francisco, fourth in America in 3-point attempts to field goal attempts. They are an exclusive 3-point offense. So on the road against a pissed off team, if the threes are not falling, this one could get ugly quick. So I think for me, I almost don't want to play 14 right now, but maybe I can get a better number live. Maybe I get 9.5 live or something. I get a feeling if you're going to back Gonzaga, maybe it's tonight. But I think on the surface, it looks like too many points. But when we really break it down, who has San Francisco actually played well against stepping up? I guess they beat BYU. Nice game there, but it's a road game. And I'm going to guess – hold on. And I'm going to guess they shot well from the 3-point line. 12 for 29. What happens if they're not making threes tonight, Jim? This one can get ugly quick.
Yeah, they get smacked. And, I mean, honestly, you can beat Gonzaga inside defensively, and that's not really where San Francisco is going. I was going to say the other big performance San Francisco had was they blew out Arizona State, but Arizona State had the flu that game. Key guy was out. The whole team was flu-ridden. I kind of throw that result out, unfortunately.
I also, and I want to agree with this individual, I thought Gonzaga was really good against St. Mary's. I mean, they obviously lost the game, but they were dominant in the first half. That was one of the losers I had over the weekend. I liked St. Mary's in the first half. I thought it was a good spot for them. And Gonzaga rolled. I mean, they were really good. It's kind of just a rough one for them. I got to be honest. I'm going to look for this one live, see if I can't get a better number on this one. And Matheny is a great player.
What I mean, he basically resurrected them from the depths at the end of that Gonzaga game.
Yeah, it reminds me of Jordan Ford, kind of, who I loved. I always loved Jordan Ford. That's one of my favorite. They're one of my favorite programs of all time, St. Mary's. We don't give them enough credit. My favorite team of all time is 2010 St. Mary's. Samhan, Dellavedova, Clint Steindl, Ben Allen.
Steindl, what a name.
Yeah.
The Sweet 16 team?
Yeah, they beat Villanova.
Okay.
Yeah. Villanova was a 2 seed, I believe. And they beat him in the second round. Yeah.
That was when Jay Wright couldn't win in March, and then suddenly he could.
You remember the kid Dellavedova or Mickey McConnell they had? He'd shoot the ball really high, huge arc on his shot. Man,
they had the whole Patty Mills begats McConnell, begats Dellavedova, begats Ford, just handing down the legacy.
And it was all great recruiting by Bennett, who is the man. That was one of my greatest betting calls of all time in 2010 when I called St. Mary's to beat Villanova. I remember my barber. I walked to my barber shop. I said, "Yo, Villanova's going to lose today." He said, "You're fucking crazy." I said, "Watch. This team, St. Mary's, is for real, bro. I watch them. They're real." And that's when the birth of Nadu started. That's when I started just hanging out, doing my thing. Jim, pretty interesting card. A lot of small games tonight. What do you have your eye on?
I kind of like Oakland blowing out Green Bay tonight.
Green Bay's bad.
Yeah, they just won in overtime against their big rival against Milwaukee, but they're shorthanded. I think that was kind of an emotional get-up game against a rival. And so first half or full game, I would lay it with Oakland tonight. I just think they smack a really bad team.
Yeah, one that I wanted to kind of ask you about, SEMO and Tennessee State. I mean, first game was 92-75. These teams want to play lightning fast. I mean, could this be the highest scoring game of the night, as well as what do you have? Queens, they play EKU.
Yeah.
I don't know. We just kind of assume these are both 85, 84.
Basically, that's when we discussed this game on our show today. We're like, why are we not betting the over between SEMO and Tennessee State? And then we did. It's one of our Action Network plays for the day. So yeah, we got on board with it. We couldn't talk ourselves into any sort of under concern, so we went with the over.
Yeah, I think you're kind of on the mark with that one. One other one, quickly, Jim. Oral Roberts and St. Thomas. I think you got to have a screw loose in your head if you want to keep betting against Oral Roberts. I'll admit, I did do it once last week, UMKC. I thought, well, they don't get blown out. I'll take 9 with Menzies. They got rocked 70-42. It was like 70-42 when I looked at it. It was a rough one. What about St. Thomas? They're kind of a 3-reliant team, aren't they?
Yeah, super erratic outcomes. I actually almost gave out St. Thomas on our show today, and then I kind of thought about, Oral Roberts is a wagon in that league. Oral Roberts is the number 1 team in the country in second half margin. Like they just, if they play with their food for a little in the second half, they are able to smack you in the second half. So I'd probably, if you had to go St. Thomas, first half makes a little more sense. Because Oral Roberts has been turbo after halftime.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because when I played the what was it, against Denver, right? And they were like winning by like 5 at the half, and I'm like, what the hell is this? They scored? I think they scored 59 points in the second half. It was awesome. So yeah, that's a good mark by you, second half team. What's your best bet tonight, Jim? Another under in a game that no one, Commerce or something?
Yeah, I love Commerce games. Stonehill's been an under team lately. They play Merrimack. That's a decent look. But my best bet on our show was Idaho State, Montana under. Yeah, gross, I know. But I think it's going to be a low-scoring, ugly game. First game was kind of, except Montana made a bunch of threes. As long as neither team is scalding hot from the outside, I think it'll be a solid under bet there.
Yeah, you mentioned that Stonehill Merrimack game. Merrimack is awful on offense. I mean, they are awful. And Stonehill. I mean, by the way, shout out to who's their coach, Chris Krause, I believe.
Yep.
That's a really nice job by him. And they have that dumb rule. They can't make the NCAA tournament, so they don't have to worry about it. But I mean, you talk about, I mean, they're 8-3 in conference. Now, granted, no more Bryant, but good for them.
Yeah, they've looking at I think it's 11 of their last 12 have gone under, and like 18 of their last 21 have gone under. Stonehill's just become a total zone menace team and slowed the game down.
Well, good idea against Merrimack, who, I mean, I feel like I could probably shoot the 3-ball better than them, and I can't shoot the 3-ball anymore. Jim, we will wrap it up with you, but answer David Healy's question. Are you as down as Petty Hardaway as Nadu? Yeah, Petty Hardaway sucks. He's sucked forever. He's not a good coach.
There's something about his Memphis teams that they just don't like value the ball, both in terms of shot selection and passing and turnovers and stuff. And that's like a hard thing to articulate why he can't teach it. But you just watch them and there's something off with the way they value possessions. It's concerning, even with a really good point guard right now.
By the way, some of you clowns, give me some respect. How about Jerry Stackhouse last night, the best X and O coach in the SEC? I'll keep saying it. Ha ha ha! How about that?
What a final play. That side-eye out of bounds to get the guy going to the rim, kicks to the corner. That was gorgeous.
By the way, real quick, and then we'll let you go. Did you see that Rowan game last night?
Oh, was that the 2 threes in the final?
Yeah, the Division III game
or something? Yeah.
Yeah, that was something. By the way, that announcer, I mean, I get it. It's like you're a Rowan announcer or whatever, but it's like, dude, holy hell. He sounded like he was being beheaded or something. I don't know. It's weird. But Jim, good to see you. Always enjoy chatting with you. People like it here. Second Chance Points on Twitter. Go follow Jim, the boys at the 3-Man Weave. Where will you be in March this year, Jim? Any plans?
We'll be in Vegas the first weekend, and I'm actually going to stay out there for the West Regional, cover that, and then we'll be down in Houston for the Final Four. So all kinds of hoops action coming up.
Well, I'm going out to one of your favorite cities on Monday. I'll be in Chicago. Shout out to Chicago.
Second city. Here we are.
Are you here? Are you there now?
Yeah. I moved there this summer. So all 3 of the Weavers.
I've never been, so I might have to reach out to you on. I'm getting in Monday night. I need a place to go eat dinner, and I'm a old school guy. I don't like any of this new shit, so I'm gonna have to reach out to you.
I'll make sure to tell my girls stay at home. But yeah, we'll see what's up.
Tell them to come to Barstool River North on Tuesday. We're having a big party.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, anybody's able to come. Jim, good to see you. I'm sure I'll speak to you next week. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
See you, bro. Jim Root, follow him on Twitter at Second Chance Points. And you can check all those guys out on the 3-Man Weave, 3MW. 3MW. All right, guys, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hang out for about 10 more minutes. So if you have any questions, feel free to jot them down here in the chat. I don't have much on JMU. I would check out about the status of Vado Morse. But, I definitely lean that way if he's in. Really wish you were in Arizona. Yeah, maybe someday I'll get out to Arizona. But yeah, all in all, I felt like we kind of hit every game that I had a thought on. I'm going to kind of moisten up the card tonight. I'm going to play a few. I like Purdue -8. I like UAB +2.5. I like Sela -2. And I like, I'm going to lean Arizona as well. So I'm going to hope to have a bounce back night here on the show. So let me kind of explain what's going to be going on in Chicago on Monday. I get in about 6:30. Obviously, I'm just going to kind of hang out Monday night, have dinner. I might actually see what Chris Castellani's up to. I don't know. I think he's getting in Tuesday, though. Either way, I'm sure I'll do something. Tuesday, I'll be at Barstool Chicago all day. We got some content to do there. And then we will be at a party. We're going to have a party on Tuesday night at Barstool River North. So if you live in Chicago, you live close to Chicago, maybe you live in Wisconsin or Indiana or something, come show love. Come say hi. Come get some drinks. Maybe I'll even do an open bar for a little bit. I haven't decided. Maybe I will. We'll do like a first people to use up $250. They get drinks or something. We'll figure it out. We're also doing kind of a fun competition. Me and White Sox Dave. What do women want? It's kind of a fun competition there. And we're going to do some raffles. So if you have a girlfriend, bring her. I promise I won't talk to her. Maybe I will. I'll pretend you're not around. But your girl can win some gifts. We're going to do some raffles. We're going to have some fun. It's going to be a great time. And then Wednesday, I'm going to hang out for a little, and then I'm going to leave. So I'm not there too long, but it'll be cool to get out to Chicago for a couple of days. And hopefully we're celebrating a Eagles world title, championship title, winning the Super Bowl, hopefully on Sunday. So if you have any questions, I'll take them. I also want to tell you guys, if you can, I'm going to drop the link in the chat. I did a video today. I'm kind of switching up and doing some more content on different things other than like the mafia and things like that. I did a video today. I'm starting a new series on athletes that have had issues in their life and it's been mired by crime. I did a show today on really, I think one of the greatest college running backs over the last 30 years ever in Lawrence Phillips. I'm going to drop the link. A pretty sad story if you're being honest. Really one of the saddest wastes of talent in the history of the NFL. So please check that out. I included the link. Go watch that. I think you'll enjoy it. Really a sad story. Can you name your top 5 favorite college players from the past in basketball? Yeah, no order. Jimmer Fredette, Omar Samhan, JJ Redick, Lynn Greer, and Adam Morrison was a great player, man. Carmelo was a great player. Sham God, he was awesome. I'd have to think about that for a while, but those are a couple I really enjoyed. Yeah, I'm not a big traveler, man, to be honest. I don't travel too much. And if I'm going to travel, all due respect, bro, it ain't going to be to Lowell, Massachusetts. I'm not one to really go to games much anymore. But you never know. Maybe someday. I'm actually working on a very wild trip here in the summer, possibly, that I'm trying to put together. So we'll see if Barstool approves it. I'm not sure if they will because it's pretty dangerous, but we'll see. Thank you, Cody. Thank you for watching. You got canned from Twitter. I guess you got banned or something. That sucks. Do you bet baseball or anything else in the summer, or is it an off period? I bet a little baseball, but summer's kind of a let your hair down as far as betting for me. Do you get bored alone a lot? No. I enjoy living alone. I enjoy having my own life. I'm a guy that enjoys my quiet. And I spice it up. I go out, once or twice a week and, hang out with people and have women over and go see my family. So, and I think once you get to a certain age, I mean, that's just what life is. I'm so busy during the day. Like, I don't really have enough time for anything. I'm doing gambling stuff, and then I do these shows, and I do a sit down. I do the videos for the sit down. I do the podcast. I'm preparing shows for the next week. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this stuff. Plus, I got to work out. I got to, eat at some point. I got to still, occasionally go to, I don't know, a court date or the dentist or something else. So, once you get older, man, there's only so much time in the day you have. So I don't really get too bored much. And if I do, I find a way to keep my mouth or keep my mouth. I see someone says, wipe your mouth, keep myself busy. But then again, my mouth sometimes is busy too. All right. So the guy who killed the immigrant, what do you know so far? Do you think it'll go to trial? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, he's being held on bail, so it's likely to go to trial. It's all about stand your ground. I mean, we need to find out more about what actually happened, but they have stand your ground in Arizona. So he was perfectly under legal law to do what he did. Now, if the guy stumbled upon and tried to get out quick and he just shot him, I guess we'll have to wait and see. All right. I'm probably not going to drink at all for the Eagles game. I got to leave the next day, and I don't usually drink on Sundays, now that football's kind of over. And I will be with my family on Sunday, so probably not. Contrary to what a lot of you people think, I don't really drink that much. I usually drink once a week. If I'm driving somewhere, I don't drink at all. So, yeah, I probably won't drink at all on Sunday. But all right, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me today. As always, thank you to Jim Root for joining the show. Yeah, I want to surprise everybody tomorrow. Ben Mintz will join the show. Yes, Ben Mintz. He is still alive, and he will join this show tomorrow. How about that? Live from Louisiana, Ben Mintz. What's up, fellas? He'll join the show. So make sure you join us tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern. Ben Mintz is supposedly on a college basketball heater, so we'll hear more about that tomorrow. So be here on Friday as the great Ben Mintz joins the show. As far as what I bet tonight, I like Purdue. I like UAB plus 2.5. I like Sela -2. I like those. I like that. And I'll probably have Arizona, to be honest. If you want to tail, go ahead. If you don't. What's up, fellas? It's your boy Ben Mintz. What's up, fellas? All right, I'm out of here. See you guys later. Join me tomorrow. Ben Mintz joins the show, 4 o'clock Eastern. Bye-bye.